I self-published Some Monument to Last a couple of years ago. If you'd like a copy, there's some in the back. In doing this story, I revealed that I was sexually abused as a kid, and this area where I'm going to read kind of shares a little bit about my experience with domestic violence. Between the ages of 4 and 7, I became a victim of sexual abuse at the hands of a relative. I remember being placed on a bar so high I couldn't escape the fondling. The quote meetings became more and more explicit and changed my life forever. I escaped the abuse when my stepfather was transferred out of town, moving me away from the perpetrator. The damage was done, and I have to deal with it every day. I believe the abuse of children is the core root of many of society's problems. As I grew up, I became eager to know more about my biological father. Unfortunately, my mother's memories were mostly bad. My alcoholic father had been very abusive, and their marriage had been tumultuous. As we grew older, my sister, who had fair skin, blue-green eyes, and the looks of Brooke Shields, became a beauty queen. She was the cheerleader, the band's sweetheart, and up for homecoming queen. I always joke that my sister was trained to say her blue-green eyes were from Kmart when people asked her where they came from. No one ever asked me where the hell my brown eyes came from. But I never would have said the Blue Light Special. My nicknames included Meatball, Doughboy, and Faggot. All of my grandparents were alcoholics, minus my maternal grandmother. And my grandfather would beat my grandmother and his kids when he was drunk. And I remember an aunt who was abused by her husband that she married many times, and she would seek shelter with us and other family members when he was on a rampage. And so this alcohol problem, I think, is a big part of domestic violence. And so I have a poem that I'd like to share regarding alcohol, and it was written by my grandmother, Wanan Dottie, in 1971, so I hope that she found some recovery and relief. It's entitled AA. Alcohol once ruled our life, and it brought nothing but trouble and strife. But with foggy minds, we found our way to the open door of friendly AA. The serenity prayer stamped in each heart, we came together to do our part. 100 folk have joined, we hope they all have the guts to stay. Sober days are here at last, gone is the pain of a miserable past. We've been through hell, and now we say, from the AA path may we never stray. With a firm handshake and a gracious smile, we AA members make life worthwhile by serving in a sincere way, not seeking profit, not taking pay. We help a fellow in distress when he decides his life's a mess. We'll heed his call without delay and hope he'll listen to the voice of AA. With the man upstairs to show us how to leave the cork in the bottle now, our fellowship spreads from day to day because our happy hearts have found AA. We use the big book as our guide. It helps us not to slip and slide back into bleakness and decay and an empty life without AA. And one of the things that I'm grateful for in our community is that there is help for the abuser, because they're sick people, and we know that the only outcome for them is prison, death, or jail. And so I'm glad when people reach out to them, because the fact of the matter is many kids are going to still honor and love their parent who's abusive. And this is a poem that my father wrote 3 months before he died, and my mother always said that there was no other way out. He had to die because he would have tortured us more. He wasn't going to go away. And he died a death of an alcoholic. He was smoking and drinking, and his mobile home went up in flames. But when he was sober, he was very talented. And then the drugs and alcohol led him into some mental problems, and he died at 37. And this poem is untitled. Remember the wharf at New Orleans, and a yellow headband, the 410 gun, and pain and children yet to come. The carefree days in Dallas and Florida's westward sun, and Gina the girl, and so much fun, and Jamie the silent, and now my son. Any drop in April, any wind to come, can't blazon or sway my love for you, for Gina or my son. And that's by Douglas Dottie. I know that my mother has been a blessing in my life. She was very physically abusive as well, but things are well between us now because she was also sick and an alcoholic because of everything that she endured. This is a ring she gave me when I was in 5th grade, and she didn't know how to love me all the time, so she took it away, but I went back and commandeered it in college. And so it's just a reminder of our connection, and today we are good friends. And I can't imagine the pain she went through. She tells me a story of when my father kidnapped my sister, and I just can't imagine the pain. She's come a long way, but it still affects her very much every day. And I've seen her heal and recover. She was a volunteer at the women's shelter in Lubbock for a long time. It was such an inspiration to see her do that. She later worked there full time for many years, and led me to also volunteer at the women's shelter in Lubbock for a time, and to stay connected to programs that help women and other victims of violence. I also volunteer at the Rape Crisis Center. My table's back here if you'd like to take a pen or some information on the Rape Crisis Center. We have 2 tours a month. They're free. They're 1 hour. You can come and bring anyone you like twice a month. And we also have a run coming up. Josie and I, well, we walked. Josie carried me. But we made the finish line. It's February 25th, and you can sign up for that as well. It was a lot of fun. We'd like to see you out there, and so take one of those as well. I want to also bust a myth while I'm up here and given this opportunity, and that's that domestic violence doesn't happen in same-sex relationships. In fact, it happens at the same rate as it does in straight relationships, and that's about 30 or 40%. So in the GLBT community, violence is as common as it is in heterosexual relationships. And it's estimated every year 100,000 lesbian women are battered and 500,000 gay men are battered. And the sad part is many people believe these victims in same-sex relationships receive fewer protections. And this is slowly going away, but for victims of domestic violence in same-sex relationships, there's the additional threat by the abuser of outing their partners. So many of these victims stay silent and stay put in the abusive relationship. In closing, wear the color orange on Wednesday. It's Bullying Prevention Month and a sign to support all the victims. And so that's on Wednesday. It's called Unity Day, October 12th. And also, let me make sure I got everything I wanted to get in. You guys are terrific. I'm always here for you. As a journalist, we cover so many stories, and unfortunately not enough of domestic violence, because we only cover it when there's a death, unfortunately. And I'd love to see a group of people out there with something purple on the day it happens, maybe during the news hour, because I know good journalists would interview you and get your message out there, to get that crisis hotline out there, and to say that the people who carry the color purple in memory of the victims were here, they've left this and the number, and they're not sure what happened here, but they're keeping an eye on the situation, and these are the people who do it every day, day in and day out. I also brought some Mexican fortune cookies. Feel free to take those, but be careful. Mine just said your problems got bigger. Think, what have you done? God bless you.